Hello, students. So, today is our topic in pedagogy of a school subject, English language, is about characteristics of a good language learner. We are going to understand what are the good characteristics of a English language learner, how should be a language learner, and how should he behave, he should learn so that the effective language teaching can happen at a very good place. Okay, so let's start with it. Now, today's learning objective of my class is to enable you students to about the characteristics of good language learner with good understanding, and you will understand the characteristics and you will understand what a learner should avoid when the learner is learning specifically English language. So we are starting with that. So let's understand this thing, students, that knowing any foreign language is always beneficial, as it is adding an edge to your career and opens so many doors. But learning the same is not easy. So when we are talking about English language, we all know that English language is a foreign language in our country, India, and it is actually taught in Indian classrooms as a foreign language. So it is bit difficult, or we can say bit different from what is the effect of mother tongue or regional language on our Indians. So students learn, and but this is also fact that some people learn languages very fast and speak very fluently, while there are some people who find it little difficult to even learn the basics. So it's not that good language learners are born good at them. So there are many things that they are considered good, or other people are considered not good. So it's just that they learn languages well. So the question here is, what good language learners do? What is actually their natural behavior or aptitude that makes them very efficient in LSRW skills and effectively in language skills? So what are their secrets to become a successful language learner? So to get the answer to these questions, I'm just discussing something with you. So let's be prepared with that and understand very effectively. And so your listening skill will make you understand what are the characteristics and of good language learner. So first of all, let's discuss why is it important to be a good language learner. Why we are considering it so more important. Does it really matter that a learner should be a good learner while learning the English language particularly? So when you acquire a new language, you want to be creative, you want to be in your own original way. You have to be efficient in speaking, listening, reading and writing those skills, and which is making you effective, which is making you independent and successful, of course. So when you are learning a language, so it is very important for all of you students to learn it effectively in that way that that a student is understanding as well as the student is very creative, efficient, successful, independent. So that's why it is very very important to be a good language learner. Now, in order to reach those goals, you should keep the following characteristics in mind. We are going to discuss the characteristics, specifically 10 characteristics, which a learner must possess in his mind as well as in his behavior, in his aptitude when the learner is learning specifically English language. So let's see them one by one. First of all, be motivated. So motivation is the key point, students, that is actually enabling any student to learn the knowledge, learn the facts, information in a very effective way. And when we are talking about English language, you get to know the language, you dive into the culture of English language, why and how it is learned. See, students, motivation is of two types, that is external and internal. So, external motivation is definitely you will get from your environment, maybe it is from your family, from your school, college, university, maybe from your neighborhood, or any of the particular person you may like to, or you may get motivated from to. But internal motivation, students, it is a type of permanent motivation, and it is very very essential for any learner to have it. So when you are motivated, and especially I would quote self motivated, then language learning becomes easier. So it is actually directing a learner to become more efficient in that particular linguistic skill. So what to do to become motivated, and how it results when the child is so much motivated, learner is motivated, then a level of satisfaction definitely arises into the mind of the learner, and definitely the learning is more effective. So when we are motivated to learn the English language, definitely the result is that positive attitude develops, and with that positive attitude, we actually do not hesitate to learn any other language which is actually requiring more and more laborious or hard work from us. So we are easy to go with all the learning skills that is required from specifically language skills. So first and very important characteristic is to be motivated all the time. Learn something new. Always be motivated, and never say no to yourself that okay, I can't learn. No, this should not be the attitude. Attitude should be positive, because you want to satisfy your own inner strength. Yes, I can learn language in a very effective way. Now, second characteristic, which is very important, that is practice. Practice makes the person perfect. You must have heard about it. So, practice is the only thing which we are doing when we are learning the grammatical concepts. And all of you know it very well that grammar needs presentation, generalization, and drill. So in drill part, we are going to practice a lot more what we have discussed, what we have learned in our class. So a good learner is always constant and frequent, and does sufficient amount of practice of a particular concept to learn it in a proper way. So it is done for a continuous period, not like that okay, once you have done the practice of any particular concept, like learning an adverb concept, and you are not doing it continuously. So one time will come there that you will easily you will forget the basic rules of applying adverbs to the sentences. So practice is something that makes you a very good learner in linguistic skills. So what will be the result if you practice more and more of a particular concept? Then it will be, result will be into fluency. You will not break it, and fluency is must in English language skills. So possible perfection will be there, and you will be achieving more and more students. So this is what, students, you must remember, that when you are self motivated, number one, then you have to practice a lot and lot. Only then basic skills will be acquired by you, and you will get mastery over the concepts, whatever it is, from prose, poetry, grammar, or maybe the basic skills of writing composition. Okay, so practice is very very important skill, or we can say important characteristics of a good language learner. Now it is very important, be yourself. It does not mean that be yourself telling you to be selfish. No, it is not like that. Be yourself means there should not be any fear of speaking in English language. There are many students who are learning well, they write well, they read well, they listen well, but when it comes to the terms of speaking, they are actually little afraid. And why there is fear of hesitation, and they are actually feeling less confident to speak something in English language. So be unafraid of applying the English language into your daily routine conversation, communication, and you will be finding it very easy to apply the language skills in your daily day-to-day task. So language learning is actually targeting and focusing on the aim of learning listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. So until unless these skills are fully achieved, we cannot say that we are having good command over English language. So it is definitely a very good characteristic of a English language learner that he or she should not be afraid of speaking English, and be yourself. Just be calm and relax and speak the way you want to, and just be natural in your speaking. And what would be the result if you be yourself? Language comes more natural. It will not be like you are showing off something, or you are just pretending to be a known learner of English language. Then, if you are continuously using phrases, sentences in your work, in your daily conversation, then your language speaking will be natural. There will be nothing artificial or show off, and it will definitely result into developing your positive attitude towards learning the language in a very effective way. I hope you have understood this much, so let's continue with it. Yes. Fourth, very good characteristic, make mistakes. Yes, students, make mistakes. It is considered good. Who is making mistake? The person who is doing the work. If you are not doing the work, if you are not practicing, if you are not giving attention to your language skills, you are not making mistakes. And on the contrary, if you are trying a bit, if you are making errors, then just be sure that you are on the right path to learn the English language skills. So, making mistakes is nothing to be afraid of. You can make mistakes and just be confident and try to learn from your mistakes. And then, this is a very unique characteristic of any good language learner, that the learner is learner is doing trials, and learner is making errors also, but the learner is not hopeless and learning from mistakes definitely. So this is something a good language learner must follow. Now, what would be the result if the learner is making mistakes? If gradually the mistakes are happening and the learner is learning from the mistakes and correcting the mistakes and doing the right things, now it has become the habit of the learner, then it will result in the long term to make fewer mistakes. Now the learner has learned well how to use or apply that particular language in a particular manner. So now the chances of making mistakes are fewer, and the learner gets confident also. So it is right that we learn from our experiences. If the past experiences are not good, then definitely we are going to apply it on our future or present also, and we are going to have a wonderful deed of actions towards learning the language skills. So just be don't afraid of making mistakes, students, and just be on the practice of doing trial and error theory and learn from your mistakes. So this was the another important characteristic that a language learner must have. Now this is the fifth characteristics, explore what you want to explore. Explore is to search something new. Inductively you search, and you just look for language patterns, how it is working. See, students, it is only possible if you are explaining the concept, if you are learning the concept in a very like very excited way, enthusiasm way you are learning something. So explore how the sentence is framed, how the vocabulary is used. Whenever you read something, you just find out what kind of rhyming scheme is there, what kind of structures are being followed. So explore them in your own mind. A good language learner never stops in searching, in exploring the things which the common people do not see. So result will be definitely, if you are of exploring attitude, then language pattern what are applied in a particular content, that will be easier for you to understand. And it will also enhance your speech comprehension, because you have explored so much on the structures and patterns. When it is now, it is the time to apply your speech pattern on your communication skills and in your day-to-day language learning skills. So exploring is another very effective quality of a learner that must be possessed. Yes. Now, this is the sixth characteristic and very important. Guess. Keep on guessing. Guessing something, guesswork is something that enables your imagination, that actually strengthens your logic, your thinking powers. So, guessing is something that highlights your contextual clues. Higher order mental skills are developed by guessing work. So, when you are in continuous practice of doing grammatical exercises, or you are very well versed with the learning the rhyming scheme of any particular poetry, then you are definitely, you are keeping on guessing what is going on in poet's mind or author's mind, and you are definitely understanding that in a higher order. So thoughts are being followed, high order thinking skills are being followed by the learner, which is really very beneficial from the point of view of learning the language skills. Now, this type of guessing work, what it results into self assurance. If I'm guessing something while I'm learning a language, so it is assuring me myself that okay, now this my guess was right, so I think I'm on the right path of learning. So this type of self assurance is very very important for the learners to learn, understand the language skills. Then again, it will result in enhancing the comprehension of the learner. They will understand the concept more easily, and they will actually accompany their understanding, their level of thinking with the teacher's level of thinking. So that's why the guessing work is so important, as it covers the higher order of mental skills. So this was the sixth and very important skill, students. Yes, seventh point and very important point for a good learner, how he should be, how she should be. So that is communicate. Keep talking. Keep communicating. Don't be afraid of communicating in language, and spare nothing to send message. There are many people nowadays in the days of social media that we are talking especially about, that people are just WhatsApp or just give their messages on the messenger, and we are speaking less. So this should not be the characteristic of a good language learner. Good language learner must be actually highly motivated or self motivated to communicate rather than the messaging. So it will actually enhance the language skills, as well as it will result into doing more and more practice of learned structures, whatever the learner has learned from the teacher, from the reading or listening, or any resources the learner has learned language. So it is very important to communicate with each other, communicate with your classmates, with your parents, with your teachers, or your friends, or anyone you think that is very much suitable person to communicate. So this is actually the very good characteristic of a language learner, and it definitely results into practice more and more. And when we start communicating, definitely we will be making trial and we will be making errors. But as I have told you earlier, don't be afraid of mistakes and just keep on communicating. Don't stop and don't lose your confidence at any point. Yes, now it's eighth characteristic, that is monitor. That is very important characteristics. What we are doing. Am I on the correct path? Is my fluency correct? Are my pronunciations proper? Are my structures proper? Am I applying the correct conversation strategies? Am I making my pauses at the right places? Am I using correct fillers, or am I rephrasing or phrasing my sentences in a proper way? Yes, we have to be very, very skilled in monitoring these important elements in our language skills. So, students, just remember that a good language learner not only learns all these elements of English language in an effective way from the teacher, but also he or she constantly monitors his own achievements, either it is in form of pronunciation, fluency, conversation strategies like pauses, fillers, rephrasing, correct pronunciation, articulation, stress. So these are all the conversation strategies that you must monitor. What will be the chance, what will be the results if I'm continuously monitoring as a learner? So definitely I will see a good improvement after some time in my language skills, and there will be wonderful improvement after some time, and the language learner will be more confident. So social convention will also be there when we are doing something and people are acknowledging and people are actually accepting us in that way. So this is the biggest achievement of any learner. Okay, we are doing that, or so that is actually applied in our social convention also. So monitoring your own skills is very important. Now, students, this is the ninth point, that focus on the meaning. Yes, meaning is more important than grammar. There are there are numerous grammatical rules which a student supposed to follow while framing the structures, while framing the sentences, but the meaning is lost somewhere. So when a learner is learning grammatical rules also, so it is very important that proper proper meaning should be conveyed, and there should not be any ambiguity in just making the conclusion. So result, learning grammar through conveying meaning will be more and more effective. So focus on the meaning what you are learning, why we are using present tense, why we are using future, as well as why we are using past tense. What does this type of tense do for the students? So this is something that we have to focus on that. Now, 10th and very important, students, be self confident if you want to be good learner of language skills. So use of four language skills, just enhance them. Just keep on asking these questions from yourself. Am I doing proper listening of English language? Am I writing properly? Am I writing the correct amount of English language skill which is supposed for me to write every day? Or am I just reading the good books or latest books or very important books of English literature or language which I'm supposed to read? Just keep on asking these questions from yourself. Then ask them, am I speaking the correct amount? Am I communicating well in English language? So be confident, be self confident. No other person is going to give you the confidence. Only you will give yourself the confidence, which will be actually retained for a longer period. So encouragement is very very necessary, and don't be just be like seeking your encouragement from others. Keep encouraging yourself, and there should not be fear of taking risk. If I speak wrong English, then what will happen? No, don't think like this. Okay, once you are making mistakes, okay, fine. If I'm not correcting myself, other person is correcting. That's all right, absolutely all right. And I'm taking it in a very healthy spirit. Person is correcting me, so I'm learning. So there should not be fear of taking risk. So what will be the result if you will be self-confident? There will be no obstruction while learning. You will actually accept people's idea when you are learning. So self assurance will begin. Okay, I can learn. This is simple. This is nothing very hard that will not go in my mind. So understand, students, that this is something that you have to be very very particular when I'm talking about it, that were the characteristics which I have talked to you. So be self motivated, do practice a lot, and there are so many characteristics which I have discussed with you. Now students, let's discuss what good language learners do, what they do exactly. So they discover their own learning style. It is simply understood, students, that everyone has their own learning style, and so do the language learners. They discover their own learning style that they find comfortable and learn in the same way. So remember the mnemonics that we discovered, the memorize elements of the periodic table chemistry. The people learn that periodic table chemistry. That's not a very easy one. People learn, and quite similar to that, many difficult things are there. And doing so not only make things interesting, but also helps to remember things for a longer period of time. So, people discover a good language learner must discover his or her own learning style. What is my style? I have to discover. Okay, I can learn only in this style. Nothing else, please work for me. Then, just for your information, basically, there are four modes of learning, students, and remembering anything easily described in that way. So, there are four ways: visual, first is visual, and then second is auditory, and third is reading and writing, and then fourth is kinesthetic. So, kinesthetic, or anything, these are the four modes of learning in a very effective way. So visual, when I'm talking about visual mode of learning, it means that I'm learning via images, graphs, maps, etc. I'm learning from that. When I see something, I learn in a more effective way. So this is the learning style of good language learners also. Now if I'm applying the next mode, that is auditory, or maybe you can call it, or maybe I'm learning while talking or listening. I can learn more effectively when I'm talking. When I'm communicating with people, I learn it more effectively, and when I'm listening only, even it works for me. So that means my mode of learning is auditory, or this is something very very effective. So visual we have discussed, auditory we have discussed. Now the third is reading and writing. So learning via reading and writing, maybe there are some modes, there are some good learners who do not learn well if they do not read loud, or maybe they read silently. So we adopt two types of reading, that is silent or loud reading, and of course writing also. Until unless I do write all the norms, all the rules and concepts or poetic elements in my notebook, I do not learn. So this is my own decision. How do I learn? How do I actually learn so that my understanding is more enhanced in my language skills? Okay, then last four modes of learning we were discussing, and in that kinesthetic is the last one, and learning via activities. It means that I'm learning through activities and trying them. I cannot learn just from listening. I cannot just from reading or writing or talking or listening. So I need something to do. I need to do in a practical way or playway method. Then kinesthetic is very, very important. So just find out, students, which method is more suitable to you, and in which method you actually develop your learning style so that you can learn the things very, very easily. It's up to you, students, how you choose your mode of learning and how you learn the things more effectively. So discover your own learning style is the main feature of a good language learner. Now, second important thing, what good language learner do, they avoid monotonous routine. Monotonous is something boring. I have become bored of something because of it's being repeated, repetition, and I'm not liking it. So monotonous routines are often boring, and doing some anything monotonously over the period of time becomes a burden, and we people are not liking that. So, and trust me, students, that no one likes burden. So, good language learners do the same work differently to keep themselves interested. So if I'm learning, if I'm reciting poem, if I'm doing something, so maybe I'm including songs in my learning process. Maybe the learners are watching movies in a language they are trying to learn. Okay, this is a different way that to learn the language skills or make yourself very much confident and competent enough in the four language skills. So maybe the learners are playing word games of the perspective or respective language and so on. So generally good learner avoids the monotonous routine which is making very, very boring to them. Now third important point that the good language learner do is that they learn communication techniques well. They keep on learning. That's why communication is the ultimate goal when you are learning a new language. Maybe you want to converse with the natives, with your clients, so just want to explore the culture and language as a tourist. In any of these cases or other cases, proper communication technique is very important to have a possess it. So learn to communicate effectively in either role you are playing. Good language learners skill that technique very, very well. And they, if they can't think of a word in their target language, they try to describe it. They do not go to the another language, or they do not seek the help of another language. So they just keep on trying to explain the meaning so that other people should understand it. So learning technique should be proper. If someone is speaking really fast, suppose someone is very fast speaking, they ask them to speak slowly so that their understanding, they can understand each other. They only goal successful language learner follow is to keep the conversation going. So that means the good language learners learn to communicate properly, learn to communicate the smallest techniques of English language skills in a proper way. Then the good learners concentrate more on practical learning. A successful language learner always pays attention to the implementation of their learning rather than just reading, writing, or listening. And doing so helps them to be fluent, and at the same time they become more confident. So practical learning is to be more concentrated. So speaking to the natives, conversing with the co-learners regularly, speaking about themselves, putting up a video on YouTube, giving some lessons on that particular language, performing a drama scene, these are all the things that the successful language learners must do. So just imagine, students, if the language learner is not confident enough to play a good role in a skit, then what is the use of learning the language? So this is something we are applying the knowledge in a practical form. All right. Now There are some points, students, that good language learners must avoid. Yes, they must avoid. What is actually now, this is the time I'm going to wrap up this lecture, but let's briefly understand what good language learners avoid. Stay successful and not divert from their goal. So, first thing, good learners stay a mile away from overconfidence. I know everything. You just ask me, I will answer. No, there is always a scope of learning. You cannot say I'm 100% I'm perfect. No, you cannot say like that. And even this is not good for a language learner, because updation is always required in every field. So be mile away from overconfidence. Second thing, they do not get frustrated over or about not understanding everything about their language. There are some moments that we do not understand a particular word, or we do not getting the right idea of a very good essay or a very good prose work of a Bacon's essay, like suppose. So there no need to be disheartened. Don't get frustrated. I'm not understanding. You will take some time. You will understand it gradually. Keep faith in yourself. Be self confident and be self motivated also. So there is no need to get frustrated, and good language learners just stay away from these type of frustrations and overconfidence. And now, next thing that good language learner must avoid, that is they avoid hesitating to experiment with their learning methods. I told you, students, about four methods: that visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. So, whatever is your mode, don't be hesitate in your learning methods or learning modes. You adopt the way as you feel comfortable. So, this is something that you are giving yourself opportunity to experiment more and more while you are learning the language. Then good language learner avoid working against their learning strengths. They what See, students, it is very much clear that everyone knows what is his or her learning strength. So avoid working against that and just be comfortable what you want to learn. And very important thing, good learners avoid wasting time. All the time I'm grumbling and I'm cribbing that I can't understand English language, I'm not able to get mastery over the four skills, and I'm not giving my time to polish those skills. So this is pretty not acceptable. So don't waste your time in just talking and talking, and just contribute time in polishing your language learning skills. Now, conclusion, try to possess these characteristics and facilitate learning in a very good level and overcome eventual boredom, students. So learn well and prepare well for learning and acquisition of language skills, because it is very important when we are targeting the language learning. So it should be very very important for a language learner that the language learner must be actually motivated and self confident. Only then he or she can facilitate the learning material. Yes, you do not need to internalize all the characteristics. Just pay attention on this quote. You do not need to internalize all the characteristics, but the more characteristics you possess, the easier you will acquire a new language. It is applicable to all the languages which the students aspire to learn. So these are some references, students, that you can go through if you want to learn more about characteristics of a good language learner. Now there are some MCQs. Let's discuss them one by one, and these are related to the general English questions which I'm asking from you. So the number of monophthongs in English sound is 8, 24, 12, 46. Yes, they are monophthongs are 12 in English sound. Now, next is the number of diphthongs in English sound is about 12, 8, 44, 20. So, the number of diphthongs is clearly stated here, that is 44. Just remember the number. Now, the total number of sounds in English language is 12, 8, 20, 44. So, the correct number of sounds in English language is D, that is 44. Now, next question is, which one of the following is not an organ of speech? Leg, tongue, vocal cord, lips. As we all know, tongue is definitely an organ of speech. Vocal cords are all also organ of speech. Lips are also organ of speech, but leg is not used in speech part. Okay, so the correct answer is A. Now, next question is, what is essential to acquire a good pronunciation in English language? So, a lot of conscious efforts, a lot of systematic efforts, a lot of regular practice, all the above, and the correct answer is all the above. So, these are some MCQs which you must remember, students. So this is something that I wanted to tell you about characteristics of a good language learner, students. So I hope you are understanding well and you have learned a good thing how should be the learner and how he or she should behave if he or she wants to get mastery over the language skills. Okay, students, so this was all about for today's lecture.